Well, the Walt Disney Company is in a rapid state of decline. That much is clear to everybody. But one of the few bright spots of Disney's businesses is ESPN, the sports network that is single handedly carrying their linear TV division, aside from maybe ABC. But now, with the entire company going under, the effects are starting to spill over to ESPN too. And now, Disney is making deals with Amazon to create a new streaming service that uses the ESPN brand. Let's talk about it. Alright, what's up, Faith Family? Jarvis Guy and the Voyage Arts YT here, and today we're going to be talking about this article from Reuters entitled Amazon is in talks with Disney about ESPN streaming partnership. The information reports. It reads that Amazon.com is in early talks with the Walt Disney Company about working on the streaming version of ESPN it is developing, while also possibly taking a minority stake in the sports network. The information reported on Thursday, citing people familiar with the matter. It says that Disney and ESPN are still in the midst of determining an appropriate price for the new service, the report said. And it said that ESPN is considering charging between $20 to $35 a month for the new streaming service, which could make it the most expensive streaming service in the U.S., the report added. Then it goes on to say that Amazon, Disney, nor ESPN responded to Reuters' request for comment. Now, this is kind of an interesting situation right here. For one, because ESPN is already somewhat of a joint venture. If I recall correctly, then the Walt Disney Company owns about 80%. And the Hearst Corporation owns about 20% of the network. So ESPN already is sort of like a multi-conglomerate venture. But, at this point, it's pretty clear that Disney is recognizing the fact that ESPN is one of the few valuable, not necessarily completely tainted brands that they have left. So why wouldn't they exploit it as much as they can? Sell off a stake to Amazon and create, like the article said, a $25 to $30 streaming service to, sort of offset the losses that ESPN is incurring due to people unsubscribing from cable. Because I heard this from somewhere that ESPN takes a very large portion of cable licensing fees just because, there's so much valuable sports media, sports broadcast on the network, and it's one of the few things that are enticing people to stick with cable TV, that for the longest time, that's where their main source of revenue was. But now that revenue source is dying out, it makes sense to sort of go for a direct-to-consumer tactic. But honestly, when it comes down to it, this whole situation just sort of shows how pathetic of a state that the Walt Disney Company is in. If you had brought up a deal like this maybe, 1 or 2 years ago, the people would have said, that's crazy. This could never happen. But now with the Disney stock price falling to 8 or 9 year lows, and with that awful earnings report that came out and all the, crazy shit that Bob Iger is saying that keeps landing him and the company in the news, this is starting to look a lot more plausible. So, now that we're seeing deals like this where Amazon is talking about creating a new ESPN streaming partnership, now, Disney, they wouldn't be doing this if ESPN was doing fine by itself. But the company is under complete assault, to the point where they can't afford to allow ESPN to die with the rest of cable. That'd be shirking their fiduciary responsibility to the investors. So honestly, man, to me, this seems like a symptom of an avoidable situation. If Disney would just make better content across the board, if they could invest in the resources to make their own fully fledged direct-to-consumer version of ESPN, then this wouldn't even be necessary. But it's to the point now where the company is so crippled that they have to resort to, looking to one of the tech giants that's technically one of their biggest competitors, in order to make this whole thing happen. Because, sure, Disney does have ESPN Plus right now, but it's a complete piece of shit. I had ESPN Plus for a while, and, you go on the app, and the first thing you see is a show called Greenie. Okay, yeah, sure, Greenie is on, but it's just a boring-ass show with some guy. Okay? That's not why I got ESPN Plus. I wanted to watch some NFL. I wanted to watch some NBA. Well, maybe more so the NFL. But either way, there's nothing valuable on ESPN Plus. It's just complete dog shit. So if Disney was a financially responsible company that actually cared about its consumers, they would just straight up make their own direct-to-consumer streaming service. They would improve ESPN Plus, but clearly they don't want to do that. And now they're resorting to sleeping with the enemy and selling a part of themselves to the enemy in order to make sure that one of their most valuable brands doesn't get flushed straight down the shitter with the rest of the company. But either way, man, I think that's basically all I have to say about this article, this whole situation. It's just kind of sad how far did the Walt Disney Company has let themselves fall. Because again, like I said, a couple years ago, this would be unthinkable. But now, they got to do whatever they can to survive, and it's just another reason why the Walt Disney Company is doomed. Either way, man, that'll be it for me. Thank y'all for watching this editorial. I really do enjoy making these things. Man, oh man, it's just good to see karmic justice getting served like this. You love to see it. Either way, man, I've been Jarvis Guy, never wear Jarvis YT. Stick around for more diecast content. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you guys in the next one.